Hello, friends, and welcome to the new year. I'm currently ducking out from my home in cold Chicago, Illinois. I've been in Miami for the past month, trying to get some form of escapism to really do this New Year's resolution that I have. My New Year's resolution is to go all in. When I say all in, I mean like everything. Like I would spend every dollar. I would try to drain myself of every effort, of every resource. I would do whatever it took to return to my best form of bodybuilding. I've just been making myself like a wellness training retreat camp. So the first thing that I think I've changed of this resolution is my environment. I put myself in a better environment. Now, I'm in a position now, and in this resolution, to say I want to be ducking out in Miami for 3 months and just escape the whole winter. But I didn't start here. I knew this even when I was a kid and I was young, and I ran track. I would go to nationals at a very young age, and I would see these track athletes from Florida, from Alabama, and they would just be rolling, man. And there's something about them that was definitely different. And I think that they had, without a doubt, better environments to run track. My first resolution, actually, let me think about it. My first resolution started when I was a kid. I ran track, as I was saying, and I had a full scholarship. I come from a track family. Me and all my brothers, we all had full scholarships to run track. My mom didn't have to pay anything for college, except for me. I got there and I systemed out. It was just too hard for me. The studying, the practice, I felt like a professional sports team. It was just too much. And so I dropped out. I got out. And then I went home, and then I remember we were home, and I was kind of lost partying and stuff, a lot like that. And then we went on this family cruise, and I remember seeing these guys. They're from like North Carolina or something like that, and they were just like jacked and handsome, and like it just seemed superficially what I liked. Not that deep. It just seemed like something I wanted to do. So I was like, that's it. That's my New Year's resolution. I want to, take this athletic base that I have in track and transfer it over to getting swole, getting jacked. And so with the resources I had and with the environment I had to just work with what I had. And this is what I think is the first and foremost thing to know and to master any goal or any resolution, is to accept your environment wherever you're at. You can do it in any environment. One example that really woke me up was many years ago. I competed in a WNBF show on the East Coast, and I competed against a phenomenal group. Those East Coast competitors are great. And there was one guy, his name was Salahdin, I believe his name is, and he looked great. I remember at the athletes meeting. I was there with my younger brother, and he's a Olympian athlete, my younger brother. So he can feel out an athlete and stuff. And there was this one guy sitting there with a hoodie over his like fucking eyes, and he's just like this. Like, we're just normal bodybuilders, right? And like, I remember the words that he said. The first words that came out of his mouth was, "Win, lose, or draw, we in the building." And my brother said, "Tyson energy." That's some Mike Tyson energy. We go to competitions the next day. You get there early, you do all your color, and blah 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 blah. This guy looks phenomenal, right? He looks phenomenal. I look phenomenal. We all look phenomenal. It's a pro show, and so we go on stage, and I get to start to know the guy in between the prejudging and everything, and we're on stage for an hour, and I get to talk to him outside, and then I start to see his crew and everybody he's with, and he's got a huge community and huge support, and they look like East Coasters from Jersey or New York or something like that. So anyways, I talk to him, I get to know the guy, and it turns out that not only in this show did he beat me in this show, but a little time before the show, he had just gotten out of prison and got his pro card. In fact, he got his pro card with his ankle bracelet on.
I jumped on stage with the jailhouse bracelet. My shit was going off, beep, beep, beep. The judges looking at me like, what the hell? I got this red alarm going off on my leg, and I'm posing, and you know, and I dominated.
His probation ankle bracelet on. He won a pro card. How in the world did this guy manage to not only beat the Natty Pro, me, with all the resources in the world? I was living in LA at the time. How did he manage to come out of the environment of Rikers Island prison and do well against us? I mean, that just seems impossible.
So I'm going in the yard, and we working out hard. They outside doing pull-ups on a pull-up bar with ice on the bar, like they used to the cold, you know. I just was always outside training, always outside working out. But I really started just training real hard, you know, doing lunges throughout the whole yard. Insanity, you know. I just would work out all day to ease from what I was going through.
This to me is of utter importance for anyone with a resolution or anyone with a goal to know. Environment does not matter. Whether you're in calm waters or you're in choppy waters, the ship can sail. Your goal can start today. You cannot use environment as an excuse. A guy from prison can do it. I often find, working with clients, those with the most resources oftentimes do the worst because they're not as, how do I say it, resourceful.
I ain't got the things that I need, but I'm beating these guys. And I always told myself, like, if I'm on the streets and I got the tools needed, it's gonna be hard for anybody to beat me because I feel like I can't be beat. All I need to do is have access to things that I need.
Biology and physiology will work anywhere. What does Darwin call it? Survival of the fittest. That's sort of the gift of the human being, is that we can sort of manipulate our reality and to make it happen. Whatever your environment is, you have to say, I have to see a new reality in this environment. If you feel that you're in an environment where I'm perceiving it as I can't do it here, I don't have enough, or people don't support me, people in prison are rocking it. So I think to not only just show up on the first and say, I'm just going to go to the gym and get trucking along, but I'm going to take it further and say, whatever resources God has given me today, whatever I have in my hand today, I'm going to take those and accept those as enough. I got to repeat myself on that. You have to take those and accept those as enough. I don't know what these guys are doing to make it happen, but they're being extremely resourceful. Within their environment, they're not seeing their environment as a place that they can't do it anymore. They're seeing their environment as a new reality in which I can do this.
Everybody that was in the gang, I used to make them work out too. You know, if they was running with me, you had to work out. Coming around me, you got to do at least 40 sets. People hated to come around me. I'm not going to visit him, man. He gonna make us work out.
So, I think it's safe to say, wherever your environment is, wherever your reality is, it's good enough to go today. But, silver lining, it gets better. In the words of Drake, started from the bottom, now we here. What I mean by it gets better is that the beginning is the hardest part. The beginning sucks.
We was getting the meals we eat like $2.50 a meal. It was trash.
Yeah.
If you ain't have money coming in from the streets or anything like that, you would starve in jail. 5.30 is like the last meal, you know. So it's like commissary is real expensive. So if you ain't got commissary food, money on your books or something like that, you would starve in there.
In this goal, in this resolution that you have, no one cares about this goal. No one is coming to save you. But I think this is the good news. Only in the beginning does it feel hard. Does it feel like you're at the bottom? Does it feel like no one's there? But you sort of build in a completely new reality, so to speak.
You know, I'm outside, I'm looking in their mirrors and I'm posing. COs looking at me now. The officers like me. They bringing me food. Hey, you want a sandwich? You big guy? You want a sandwich? Officers in there start saying, hey, you think you can write me up a program? I'm like, yeah, I can write you a program. They're like, I'll bring you some kitchen food. Like, all right, so it's like in return, I'm writing them up for programs, but I'm getting real food in return. You know, so it's like it was a deal. I opened up a store where though I started selling my food for a double back. So if I give you a soup, I want two or three back. So I kept doubling my food, so I always had more food than the average person in the jail.
To quote, for whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for the sake of me will find it. In this case, we can say the sake of me is my goal, is my resolution. But like a prisoner, he says, I'm not a prisoner. I'm a pro bodybuilder. He loses his old life. He is no longer prisoner number blah, 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 blah.
You out there that cold, boy. Why you working out? I'm like, I'm going back to bodybuilding when I get home.
He now sees his new reality through a new lens, and this is what he's going to do. He's going to build that. And the good news is that it compounds, and eventually you're not doing pull-ups in the prison anymore. You're on pro stage taking top 3. All from planting a seed on a specific year that you said you wanted to make a particular change. So bet on yourself. Bet on yourself big. Bet every stinking ounce of effort you have on yourself, on your efforts. I think there's a few virtues that you can really live for when you're betting on yourself. One is being less agreeable. I love to be argumentative just in my life in general. I don't mean you have to be less agreeable in terms of you have to just for the sake of rebelling against society or order, but I think you have to just give a firm, clear-cut, polite, no, just I don't fuck with that. Fair warning, it's going to feel tough. You're going to feel like a me against the world ego formations come to your head, I think, a lot of the times. I have to be strong and say no. You have to be willing to take the risk that people aren't going to like you're disagreeing with it. The thing that I believe kind of goes hand in hand with being less agreeable is being more assertive. An easy way to be less agreeable, more assertive, without being a jerk. So you can look at the menu, say, I disagree with this whole menu. I don't want to eat any of this shit. And you can simply be more aggressive. You can ask the server, is there any way you can just make me regular chicken breasts? Is there any way you could just put the sauce on the side? I don't want the sauce that way. Being more manipulative of the world to get your goal, right? If you're, again, in any environment, as I said earlier, if you're in prison and you just go with it, you're never gonna get anything. If you're in a penthouse and you just go with it, you're never gonna get anything, regardless of the environment you're in. We have to accept that, and we have to say, how can I manipulate this into what I want it to be? Any living organism, they just sort of have to go with what it is, and they just sort of have to go with the natural order. Not the Homo sapien. If something's going wrong, we can cut you open and give you a new heart. If we want this grassy hill to be on this side, we can manipulate it. Artificial selection is a human specialty, and manipulating your reality is a specialty reserved. It's a God-given gift only to the Homo sapien, only to the human being. So to exercise that simply, we don't have to, be a tough guy, shout it, say I'm better than you. And I think once you get those two going, it's sort of like a 1-2 punch. A boxer's trying to get that rhythm. That's sort of the main thing that we're looking for to keep a resolution, because you got to keep this thing for a year. I would say that the power of observation is really all you need. I'd rather not call it accountability. I'd rather call it just don't drop the ball. When I say don't drop the ball, is don't stop looking at the goal. The same way is that if you started a job and you wanted to get financially stable, you would at least on a weekly basis, you would check your account, you check the money, and the same thing goes with this goal. Sort of the last piece to bet on yourself is to look at the money, to look at the change, so to speak. How much are you leaving on the table unnoticed? It's the new year, and we just had a little New Year celebration. I had 3 Peronis actually. Not only from a macro nutrient caloric perspective did I count those beers, but I also have to have some accountability for it. I can't be delusional. You can't drink 3 beers and go win the slam dunk contest, bro, right? You have to atone for it. So today, in the name of accountability, I said, all right, well, I'll just take today off, make a video. So when I say accountability, I don't mean perfection. I just mean simply knowing that yesterday connects to today, today connects to tomorrow, and for the year of 365 days of progress, you're going to have to see that as a continuous flow of sorts, and not be in denial of the mistakes you made and own up to them and adjust for the next day, and see each day as connecting to the next one. There is always some devil in the details, and that devil, I think, is resistance, things that make us less prone to follow through for a complete year and get this done. I think one of the biggest threats to any resolution or any goal that makes people drop off, and I think makes myself drop off, it feels to us many times to go all in like a selfish commitment, and it just doesn't really feel realistic. One thing that I would call this, though, if I had to give it a word, I don't even think it's a real thing, I would call it delusional altruism. You can think of altruism as the opposite of hedonism, right, or selfishness. Altruism is like Gandhi or Martin Luther King, Jesus Christ incarnate, just Mother Teresa, just someone who helped others without expectations, even at the cost of their own life or the cost of their own self. I think in the West, a lot of people, including myself, feel guilt or shame if we ever sort of envision what it would look like if we ever gave more of myself to myself. I can impulsively get defensive and say, well, no, I'm not selfish. I love those around me. I'm there for my kids. I'm there for my job. This is what I stand up for. I stand up for my community. Rah, 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 lazy bullshit. You're a nobody if you're not a somebody to yourself first. This is what Ayn Rand called rational self-interest. She wrote some of my favorite books. She wrote Fountainhead, Atlas Shrugged, which is probably her most popular one. When the fuck has that not ever bred resentment in you, when you've given everything to others and you've left nothing for yourself? It's easy to think and feel like you're a better person by lazily not doing your part and being altruistic for others and giving to others, but it's just like irrational. Like, it just seems like I'm complex. It seems like I just have both. It seems like I am giving and loving, and it does seem like I need a lot for myself as well too. There's clearly the fact that you even want this resolution. There is a little me, there's a little I that's constantly crying out that says more me, more me, more me, more me. It's a balance out here, bro. It's just not all people and people you love. Why I'm sort of here doing this hideaway is that Ryan needs a little more Ryan, and sometimes you need a little more you, and sometimes you need to declare a whole year going all in on you. That don't mean you gotta love less, or that doesn't mean you have to give less righteousness to the world, or not be there for the people you love. I just don't think those two conflict. As Walt Whitman says, he says, do I contradict myself? Surely I contradict myself. I am large. I contain multitudes. I am many things. I am not just one simple stream of identity that I would like to think that I only give and I don't do anything. So, to close, Jesus Christ, I think the most selfless example. You don't have to be, I'm not trying to push church on anybody, but we all know about this dude. He's very popular. Very few people can compare to this guy's legend, you know. There was a point in Jesus' ministry, and he was walking around with his disciples. He was healing. He was doing a bunch of crazy, miraculous things, saying crazy, miraculous things. And then at one point, he kind of said to his disciples, like, he was like, all right, look, here's the deal. Here's why I'm here. Though I've been giving and healing and giving and healing, here is my sort of selfish intent. He more or less admits to his disciples his whole purpose of this, and it's a suicide mission, more or less. He's been giving and giving and giving to the world and just pouring out, and then he finally takes a moment to admit what he needs, what he's betting on himself for. And his lead disciples tries to stop him. And he says, we won't let you do this, blah, blah, blah. And Jesus yells to him. He says, get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me. Power. Think about that. This guy knew what he had to do. And anyone who got in the way of what he had to do was an obstacle to him, was a stumbling block to him. Yes, you are giving, you are selfless, you're all these things. And if your resolution this year is that I need to go all the fuck in, plus give love, do both. Don't be lazy, do both. If you're ever going to bet on yourself, if you're going to find the courage to have more strength to do these things, to do it in your environment, to build yourself up, if that's ever going to be in your reality, if that's ever going to be in the cards for you, then this delusional, I only give, it's got to stop. You give, but there's also something specifically that you need to do for yourself. It's a yin and yang type balance out here. So, I wish you all luck in your new year. Thank you for watching this video. It would really help me out if you all just drop me a comment. Let me know if there was anything in the video you made you think, or made you say, oh, or reflected on something, or a personal story of yours. I'm here for the people in the community, and I really want to be a help in these videos. It would really help if you liked the video, disliked it if you didn't like it. I guess that would help. Help me get in the right direction. Also, it would help if you subscribed and shared this video to any friends or people who you feel could use this message, trying to get their resolution of going all in kicked off. So, all right. Thank you all. God bless you all. Talk to you next video.